guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Two Guys and a Gal. Tonight, we will be talking about film legend, cultural phenomenon, Jack Nicholson. His career spans, of course, over 6 decades, cementing his place as one of the most iconic and versatile actors in film history. He's known, of course, for his charismatic screen presence, his ability to shift seamlessly between intensity and charm and even comedy, and his performances are largely the stuff of legend. I want to leave you with what the New York Times said about him and his method acting, his devotion to the craft, back in 1986. It said Nicholson is one of those fantastic believers in the method and mystique of the craft of acting, an actor who, even during the dozen lean years in Hollywood when he was only doing B pictures, he would nonetheless devotedly go from acting teacher to acting teacher seeking truth, the way others of his generation would go from guru to guru or shrink to shrink. He is devoted. And here to talk about Jack Nicholson, we have Manny in the awesome hat Zamora and Rory, the man of 2 trillion voices now. It's actually 2 trillion. So
2 trillion, is that really how many voices he does? That's amazing.
It is very amazing.
Got my popcorn too.
absolutely, and we are ready with the corn. And of course, I have to. Here are some of his notable roles. All the different faces of Jack Nicholson. The different faces.
The different faces of Jack. Yep.
He has
Yeah.
as many different looks as Jim Carrey. I think he's one of those plastic, malleable faces, right?
Oh yeah. That's what's so intriguing about Jack Nicholson. And you really, I mean, I don't think there's really much more to say about him than that wonderful and erudite introduction. Other than to say that Nicholson pours everything he does, everything he has into each role that he plays. Even if, as you said, even if it's just a little B movie, he gives it all to the screen. So I think that's one of the things why he's had such a long career, why he's been around for 60 years, or 60 decades. No, not 60 decades.
He does look like he could be that old, like with like a vampire or some kind of ethereal being or something like that.
Yeah, and he may be for all we know.
I love how you talked about his intensity, and I think that's a huge
Yes.
part of it. He puts his all into it, like the New York Times was saying, like someone would be a devotee of a guru. That's how he was with method acting. And because you said that, Manny, maybe we should start off. I have a little clip here of behind the scenes from The Shining, which I'm sure we'll probably discuss at some point. And I don't know if you guys want to look at this, but this is fascinating to me.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, let me play this. This is him prepping for that iconic moment in The Shining.
Come on, you. Oh, come on, Dad. Come on.
Right, are you ready? Well, why for Shelley? Shelley,
Guy. Ex-murder killer.
all right, you just say turn over when you're ready, Sammy.
If anybody else acted that way, they'd be locked up.
I
Like-
know,
like
that's
he
what I
was
was
in,
thinking. It's like a crazy person. I love how they just sort of flinch when they walk around him, but they're used to it.
Yeah, it's just Jack being, getting ready for the role. But
Yeah,
that's
very.
there you go. That's
That's another
fucking
piece of the
back,
puzzle of why
alright?
Shelley Duvall struggled after this movie. It's another piece. I mean, to be around that energy, oh my goodness.
I know. It's
I'm
just
never working with Jack again.
I can just I'm just here. I'm playing the part. I'm gonna pretend to be scared. Except she really was. She was terrified because he and because Nicholson and Kubrick terrified the woman, traumatized her. But anyway, thank you for showing that. That was awesome.
You're welcome. I thought it was exactly what you talked about. I wasn't going to play it till later, but the second you were talking about that and his intensity and all that, I was like, well, this really shows it. So let's
Yeah,
get
no, that
started.
was
Yeah, there you
that
go.
that was a good way to kick off
Right, right
the
out of the
thing
gate.
here, right out of the gate. Yeah. All right. Since Rory went first last week, I'll take the lead this time. And my number one movie is actually I changed it at the last minute. I'm gonna fess up, and I changed it. But after watching it again, I thought, no, this deserves to be number one, and it's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's my number one as well.
Ah, yeah. I mean, his
And it
performance
got
here.
number one hands down.
Yeah. What an incredible performance. Everything we just talked about, the intensity, the charisma, all of it is on full display in this movie, where he plays a ne'er-do-well who finds himself in a psychiatric hospital under observation. He was transferred from jail where he was at, and so he decides to play crazy or plead insanity to get out of, first of all, to get out of work, and second, to get out of jail. But unfortunately, he runs into Nurse Ratched in another incredible performance in the movie from I always want to say Eileen Brennan, but no, it's from Louise Fletcher.
Louise Fletcher.
And that blank expression of hers and those steely eyes of hers, that sort of emotionless, almost robotic feeling about her. And I think what makes this movie such a classic, besides everybody's performance, and we'll talk about some of the other actors as well, is not only is it a kind of an indictment of our healthcare system and how we treat the mentally ill, but also just the nature of society itself, and especially in the 70s, talking about conformity and being part of the system and all this stuff, and how it will eventually grind you down. And this being a 70s movie, as Mr. Penland will no doubt note as well, not a happy ending. They were not afraid to give us downer endings back in the 70s. So if you've never seen this movie, be prepared for that. But
I think it was faithful to the adaptation, the book.
Yeah, well, that too. But
I think there was a play too at the time.
Yes.
Ironically, Kirk Douglas was supposed to play the lead role.
Really?
And
wow.
I can't remember why he decided he didn't want to do it, but it eventually fell into Nicholson's lap.
Yeah.
And it was the movie that made him an A-lister.
Yeah.
He had done a lot of work, but and he was doing a lot of work, kind of avant-garde work, with Easy Rider, and he actually directed Head, the movie about the monkeys.
Right. Yeah.
showing what life really was like during their concerts. But he hadn't really broken out as a mainstream star until this performance. And it is, we forget throughout the film that he really is troubled in his mind. I mean, he really does have anger issues. And that's when he goes overboard, and he gets chastised in the film for going over. He's very selfish. He wants to do what he wants to do. And, he kind of pulls the other characters, played by like Brad Dourif Danny DeVito, a very young Danny DeVito, and
Christopher
very young
Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. Yeah.
In fact, this was Brad Dourif's. This was his first movie. This was his
yeah,
and
as Billy.
As Billy, yeah, Billy Bibbit. And people may probably remember him more from the Child's Play movies, but and other movies where he plays crazy people. But yeah, this was incredible. And I have to give a shout out to Will Sampson, who's one of my favorites.
Yes.
One of my favorite characters in the movie, as the chief, who basically pretended to be deaf, but of course you find out that he's not. Just a solid
Mute.
performance. Mute, rather, yeah.
Yeah.
Solid performance all the way around. But yeah, and a host of other character actors that should be familiar. And there he is. That should be familiar to audiences.
I saw you pop in there.
No, I just wanted to say that as a kid, this is what it was the chief that profoundly affected me more than Jack Nicholson. I really couldn't get much as a little girl about Jack's character. But the chief, the way, especially the ending where he escapes and they play the indigenous music behind, honestly, like that just changed my entire life. Like I feel like I have a different life because of that guy.
Song with the playing the saw.
Yes. So eerie.
Eerie. And again, it just kind of typifies your feeling about them cutting up Jack's brain.
Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah, he winds up getting lobotomized at the end of the movie. Again, you can't fight City Hall.
God, what a time to even talk about that.
The system will get you. I know. I was thinking about that today. I was like, wow, this movie is probably even more relevant now than in the 70s.
It's really relevant because Nurse Ratched really this is a social commentary book that is based on. It's a social commentary about, so many things. It's been studied in so many classes, but one of the things is about that combine, the man, oppression, administration, bureaucracy, sort of the levels of hierarchy in government and control, social control. So it's really about people who break out. I mean, at the end, when the chief literally breaks out, that's telling you to break out of the combine, break out of the system. And the whole time, Jack's character is sort of doing that in his own way, but it's the chief who literally does it. And that's what's so compelling about that end scene.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Jack Nicholson did the music, and another great soundtrack from him. And yeah, that final tune was awesome and so appropriate for the character and the moment. So, all right, well, that was our number one.
Yep.
So what was your my number two?
Yeah, you're going first today.
Oh, just okay. So my number two is something a little bit lighter, something a little bit more fun, a little less, heavy, and it's Batman.
My number two is Batman as well.
Did you steal my list? But yeah.
And here I thought our lists were going to be very different from number two on. That's funny.
Yeah.
But what a performance. Yeah.
Again, taking on the iconic Batman villain of the Joker, giving us the an origin story, and like I said, it's a really fun performance. Nicholson gets to cut loose as the character and just go crazy as a crazy character, and a really, really great foil against Michael Keaton's Batman. And one of the reasons why he was cast as the Joker was because the studio wasn't entirely sold on Keaton playing Bruce Wayne / the Batman. they thought, wait a minute, really, Mr. Mom is going to play this character? We need somebody with
everybody
some,
at the time was everybody at the time was like, oh my god,
yeah,
they picked Michael Keaton to play Bruce Wayne,
yeah,
Batman, really?
exactly.
Yeah.
So they needed somebody with some marquee value, some star
Hmm.
power, and Nicholson was glad to do it. He was quite happy to do it,
Yep.
and and of course the hefty paycheck didn't hurt either. So, but yeah,
Well,
it's a wonderful
I think it's
performance.
worth noting that Nicholson cut a deal for money off the back end with the
Hmm.
movie and made a lot more money with that.
Yeah,
I think he actually got some of the toy sales too. He cut his agent cut a huge deal on his behalf for this. It was one of the first situations where an actor got as much as he did from points on the back end of the film because they knew it was going to be a colossal hit. A la Superman with Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman.
hmm
But yeah, Nicholson ended up, I think, in the first couple of years, he made like $64 million. It was something I read somewhere,
hmm
which was a hell of a lot more than he would have made if he had just cut a deal for. I mean, Jim Carrey a few years later would go on to make $20 million movies without anything on the back end.
hmm
Um, so yeah, it was a really good deal for him because he got
yeah,
points on the back end of something he knew was going to make a lot of money.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah,
cool.
you
All
don't see
right.
Jack Palance making a deal like that.
Maybe we
Jack,
can
oh my
maybe we
God,
can cut it.
you
Maybe we can cut a deal. You are
only
my
know one
number one.
guy.
And it was so cool to see when the Joker imitates his late
Yes,
boss there to Bob the Goon, another great character actor as well.
it was unbridled Nicholson. I mean, he was chewing on the
Unbridled.
scenery, and that's what they wanted. They wanted the Joker to be just over the top, crazy, and he did it. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really, because he was really having a good time playing
Oh
the
yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And again, it was a great different take on the character, making it his own.
Mhm.
Disassociating Cesar Romero from from what
Right.
he had
Yeah.
done. And
Yeah.
it's funny, but Romero was still alive when the film came out, and they asked him, "What do you think?" And he said, "I really like what he did. He did with the character. I mean, I got my own thing that I did, and he's got his thing, and it works. He does a
Yeah.
really good job."
Yeah.
So
And
he saw it and he actually approved.
yeah. Adam West, on the other hand, did not. He was not
Oh, I
happy
didn't
with.
know that.
Oh yeah, he
That's
he
funny.
was he was
I should be
felt like,
playing Batman. Should be me.
yeah, I know. Yeah, he just felt it was too dark and too
Why did
scary,
they hire? Why didn't they hire me?
right?
I've got my bad peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my belt.
Yeah. And somebody asked Tim Burton, you know, why wasn't there a cameo from like even like, Adam West and he said, "No, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have, somebody come on and people say, 'Oh, hey, here's your favorite character right here playing somebody else.'" He felt like that it would be a distraction because people, if they found out that he was in the movie, that they would be looking for him. And he didn't want anything to take away. He wanted it to be its own thing. He wanted to be
Yeah.
Keaton and Nicholson and Kim Basinger
Mhm.
and Michael Goff and everybody. So that's understandable. Yeah. Although I think Burt Ward did like it. And there were plans to have Robin in the movie originally as well, but it felt like it was just getting too.
I had heard that they were going to add Robin in the second one, Batman Returns,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Marlon
Dave
Wayans, I think, was
Marlon Wayans.
cast.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it just didn't happen. It was like, there's too much going on here. No, we'll have to wait on that for later. And then of course Tim Burton gave the reins over to Schumacher.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
and for the third one. So
right, which then we got Robin, but not one of my favorites. So
didn't like Chris O'Donnell.
he's too. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't like it. I felt he was a little too cocky, right from the get go, and
Didn't
I
like
felt
Alicia
like,
Silverstone.
oh my god, oh no, don't even
Don't get me
go
started
there.
on
Don't
that
get
one.
me started on Batman and Robin.
I'm like,
We'll be
Uma
here.
Thurman.
We'll be here for the rest of the night. I think you already know my feelings
The
on
Iceman coming. That will not be in our top five pick anywhere.
No.
Make those nipples bigger on the bad suits. I want big nipples.
Yeah. And
Give me a punch shot. Who you ready for a punch shot? Let's do it.
Yeah, and it's because Schumacher, he's a good filmmaker. He was a good filmmaker. I mean, he made one of my favorite movies with Michael Douglas called Falling Down, which I thought was superb.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted. When I heard that he was going to be the next director, I thought, oh, great. Because I was expecting another Falling Down, and no, I got neon and bat nipples and on all
everybody
of them.
loved what was the vampire thing? The Lost Boys.
And the Lost Boys, exactly.
And he did the crime. I'm sorry, courtroom thing with Tommy Lee Wallace with the kid. I can't remember the name of that one. But yeah, I mean, I thought that they handed him the reins, and it was like, wait a minute, what the hell were you going?
Well,
with
I think a lot of it too was the studio. The studio said, yeah, we got too many. People were complaining about the Burton movies being too dark and too scary and too this and that. Lighten it up a little. Well, yeah, we got lighten it up a little.
Let's take it back to Adam West
so
days.
Exactly. So he said, okay, well, that's what you're paying me for. So.
And I remember at the time Tim Burton being interviewed and saying, "Yeah, I'm glad they picked Joel Schumacher to take over." And you could just see in his face that he was lying. That he actually hated the choice. You could just see from his tone. He's usually pretty deadpan anyway when he talks to anybody, but you could just tell he was lying through his teeth because the studio was making him.
Yeah.
It's
you better
like
say something nice
hold
about
a gun to somebody's head and ask him to do a ransom video.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're digressing. We're going way off on a Batman tangent here.
Exactly. All right. So
Great
number
performance
3,
though by Nicholson.
Yes. Bottom line is that was the point of this. We're talking about Jack. All right. So number 3 on my list, and let's see if we finally deviate here, is Chinatown.
Okay, here's where we go off the rails.
All right. This is a neo-noir thriller directed by disgraced director Roman Polanski, where Nicholson plays a private eye investigating murder and investigating why water rights have been taken from local farmers, and also the mystery surrounding Faye Dunaway and this young woman who she says is her daughter, and he faces off against John Houston as this very wealthy man.
John Houston. Sorry.
Okay. And it's very, very reminiscent of those 30s, 40s thrillers, like we talked about the Maltese Falcon, all those, very reminiscent of the Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett stories. But, and I thought this was another one, another great performance from Nicholson. Of course, I love this kind of movie anyway. I thought the mystery was intriguing. The revelation at the end of who the girl is and what her relationship is to Faye Dunaway's character, and Nicholson getting his nostrils cut by Roman Polanski.
That was my favorite movie scene in that film. Was Polanski playing the little guy? Oh, you think you got? It's like Roger Stone, and all of a sudden he slits his nostril. Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't make my list. Didn't even make my honorable mention list. I don't like
Oh.
Chinatown. I never have. I thought the
Okay.
Two Jakes was even worse. I just didn't get into it. I didn't buy them as being like the real Dashiell Hammett type stuff from
Really?
the 30s and the 40s. I didn't.
Oh.
I just kept fighting it, I guess, for some reason. I don't know why.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
But yeah, didn't make my list.
Okay.
Nicholson is good in it, you know, but he's just kind of Nicholson. He's just kind of there, you know, going from scene to scene.
Okay.
And again, the one thing that I thought was really good was, again, the scene where he gets his nose cut by Polanski, and knowing that it was the director that cut his nose.
Yeah. I saw a behind the scenes thing, kind of a documentary on the making of the movie, and they showed how they did that effect. But anyway, yeah. Well, this is, you know, we're not always.
And I like the fact that he looks like shit for the rest of the film because he's got a big bandage on his nose.
Bandage on his nose. Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah.
That was an interesting choice, but yeah, for the film.
Yep. There you go.
The film itself is not one of my favorites.
Okay. All right.
My number 3.
If you guys, I'm just gonna say it this way: if you guys agree more than this, then there's no point in having two guys. You know what I mean? The whole point of having two guys is that you have differences of opinion. So I'm just telling you, if you guys start agreeing too much, that's it.
That's it. We're ending the show right there.
The plug.
Well, at least for like Siskel and Ebert, when the cameras are off, they're like, "Fuck you!"
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
That's true. Yeah.
You need to have a little bit of controversy. You know what I mean? You need something.
Okay, yeah, that's your opinion. Well, you're an asshole. I've seen them. I've seen the clips.
On the next season, two guys turns personal. It's personal.
This time it's personal.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
We do respect each other's picks. We do.
Yeah.
We try.
All right.
And,
So
Rory's, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm silently judging you face is amazing. I just love that one. I live for that.
Usually I'm like this. Okay.
how big an idiot is this guy? So anyway, so what's your number 3?
Sometimes when I say something like, "Well, it didn't make my list," he does kind of waffle a little bit, which is fun. Okay.
I do. It makes me question my choices. I'm like, well, did I make the wrong choice?
But we'll see. We'll see if our lists are closer as we go down. You are finished talking about Chinatown, or?
Yeah.
Bruce Glover is in it, which I think is good too. I like Bruce Glover.
Yes.
He plays one of his assistants.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3 was As Good as It Gets.
Oh, okay.
An Academy Award winning performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he plays somebody with OCD, and he's very good at it. And he's just kind of despicable and conniving, and you just hate him but love him at the same time throughout the whole movie. That's a performance there, you know, to get you to, you know, to kind of be on both sides of the fence. Oh my God, he's nasty. He's despicable. Oh God, I love him. He's so funny. So yeah, I mean, that was it should be my number 2, but again, I'm a geek. So it's Batman was number 2, and this one was number 3. Great supporting cast. Helen Hunt is great in it. Greg Kinnear and Cuban Gooding Jr. Just wonderful supporting cast, and Nicholson again just commands throughout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely agree. Didn't make my top 5. Did make my honorable mentions, but it could have easily been on the top 5. How dare you, sir?
An Academy Award winning performance. Yeah, we gotta admit that there are a lot of good Jack Nicholson movies out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's done a lot of really good movie
Yes, he
performances. He
has.
really
That's what
has.
made this
It's
kind
hard
of
to limit it to 10 picks.
exactly. So, but it's in there. And no, I absolutely agree. I mean, the way he eventually wins over Helen Hunt, or she wins him over, was great. Um, and no, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I thought it is a great movie, and yes, he definitely deserved the Academy Award, but still did not make my top list for no other
And
reason
that's
that, as
okay.
you said, there's so many other good movies, including Chinatown.
That's okay. Well, again, some of my picks on this list are going to be all right. What really?
Yeah.
I think, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to number 4, my number 4 pick is The Witches of Eastwick.
Very good movie.
Where we get to see
Holy
Jack
crap! They
Nicholson.
didn't make. It was on my list, and for some reason, when I sent the list to Renee, it got waffled off the list somehow. It was in honorable mentions, but
What?
yeah,
Wow.
yes,
Yeah.
it is a wonderful performance by him, where he's basically playing Satan,
Right. He is definitely the
he's Jack
devil.
Nicholson as Satan.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
good.
only
Jack
Nicholson.
Nicholson's kind of
Right. And he manages to seduce 3 different women, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Cher.
and shit.
He comes breezing into their lives and disrupts their lives and changes them, and they become stronger for it. Even though at the end he kind of turns on them, but they're able to join forces and kind of take control. So, and it's just a fun I don't know if I would even call it a horror movie. It's a kind of fun comedy with a bit of horror in it.
It is kind of dark comedy horror.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I want to say Veronica Cartwright, but
Yes.
is
Veronica
it
Cartwright's in
Angela
it as
or
well.
Veronica? I always get them confused.
I
think it's Angela Cartwright.
might be. I think you might be right. I actually have it.
From
No, it's Veronica. It's Veronica Cartwright.
Alien. She was an Alien as well.
Right.
Our favorite Jeff Goldblum body snatcher movie.
Yeah.
She's really, really good in Witches of Eastwick. I loved her performance in it and the whole great thing.
Yeah.
It's nasty. So
yeah. So
and that little creature that he becomes after they beat him in the end. It's just what the hell?
Exactly.
And that was before CGI.
Yeah.
So that was a practical effect, I'm guessing, of some kind. And
yeah, it was. Yeah. It's a great effect.
Renee, is there any way you can find that picture of what Jack Nicholson becomes when they finish with him at the end of Witches of Eastwick? Because that is really weird. It's hysterically weird because it looks like Jack Nicholson, but it's like this weird little like baby creature thing that they
like some weird kind of gnome
wheezing. So disturbing.
Yeah. If you can find it, that'd be great.
So anyway, yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great Jack Nicholson movie. It should be on my top 5 list. But again, there's so many performances.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should put it up there on the top 5 as number 5 and move my number 5 down to the honorable mention list. But anyway, yeah, it's a great performance by Nicholson. Definitely should be in the top 5. All right. My number 4 is Terms of Endearment.
Oh, okay.
He plays a drunk has-been astronaut. And he plays the love interest of Shirley MacLaine in the film. And his lines are just gold. I mean, he's just despicable and he's but lovable at the same time. Only Nicholson can pull that kind of thing off.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another great performance at a key point in his career. Again, that was before Batman and The Next Level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was before Witches of Eastwick too.
I think so. Yeah.
And by the way, The Witches of Eastwick has a great soundtrack from John Williams as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really good
Yeah.
songs that kind of stick with you in your head.
Yeah.
Before the Hogwarts witches, there were these witches.
Yeah. Has John Williams ever made a bad soundtrack? I'm sure he must have it. There has to be a
That's a
dud
good
somewhere.
question. I can't think of one offhand. And you can't say that about other composers. Other composers usually have their hits and misses.
Yeah.
Even the good ones. But John Williams is pretty much on target every time.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, my number, what are we up to? 5?
You're 5, yeah.
My number 5 is The Shining.
Okay.
Which we talked about earlier, and we saw the little clip of him preparing for this scene, in particular, the "Here's Johnny," which I believe he improvised. It was one of those spur of the moment things, which an actor like him could do. But yeah, he really hasn't done that many horror movies. He did a few when he was younger, when he was working for. I don't know if it's his uncle or his father, who the Nicholson is, who made all the Nicholson Arkoff movies with Vincent Price and all those. But I'm sure he was related.
Boris Karloff,
all the Terror and the Raven, and all those. Which I know is one of your favorite Price movies.
It is. It is in my honorable mention list. I love his performance in that.
Yeah. So seeing the slow descent of Jack Torrance, the character, into just utter madness in this hotel, and kind of leaving you wondering, is it ghosts? Is it possession? Or is he just nuts? I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. And it's really that part. It's really once he just goes completely psycho that's when you're like, okay, this is full on Nicholson right here, And he's scary. He's absolutely terrifying. I can see why Shelley Duvall was very disturbed after the movie. Because you really don't know. I mean, is he just acting, or is he really crazy? But yeah, it's an incredible performance. I know Stephen King hates this movie. I know he felt like Jack was too over the top with it. He wanted a more subtle performance, a little less. He felt like Nicholson's character or Torrance, like he made Torrance too crazy right from the beginning. But. Yeah. Who cares what the author of the book actually has to say? So
that's why I didn't make my top 5 list.
Okay. But yeah, I really enjoyed that performance of his. And it is, for my money, one of the best horror movies ever made. It certainly makes my top 10 list of best horror movies.
As scary as it is, and I've said this before, I can't remember which show I said it on, but I've said this before in our, realm. The one thing about that movie that really shocks and surprises me is there's only one person that gets killed, and that's Scatman Crothers and Nicholson. Nicholson's character.
So you like horror
So,
movies with a high body count
well, now,
is what
again,
we're
it's
getting.
amazing that it's as scary as it is, and the body count is, just
So
two
low.
people.
Yeah, but I see. I think the thing is that the movie's really it's not about Jack. He's not about him becoming some axe murderer. It's it's a psychological thriller. It's really about the descent into madness. And now if the hotel had been full, and if it were summertime and there were all sorts of guests there, then yeah, and it was a mystery of, well, who's killing these people, and it turns out to be the caretaker. But that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
That's a Roger Corman movie. And I think that's what lifts this movie from that, and that's why I think it's
I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that it's a surprise. It's a shock that, especially with Stephen King, because usually with Stephen King stories, everybody dies.
There's a lot of death.
To have a story where it's a woman and her son being terrorized by their husband that goes crazy, and the only person that dies is an old guy that comes in to try to help, and he's psychic. That's amazing. So again, I mean, I got to give kudos to director Stanley Kubrick for creating a really eerie, scary horror film, ghost story, really. But can you find that Witches of Eastwick character? Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned
he's terrifying, and yet he's not that lethal. He got hit with a bat and fell down the stairs. Locked him up in a meat locker.
No, you bring up Scatman Crothers. This is, I don't know if they've been in other movies together, but he was also in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, that's right.
He was the night watchman who eventually he's kind of bribed into letting a couple of girls in and booze and what have you, and finds himself with some deep trouble with Nurse Ratched. With Nurse Ratched afterwards. So
I always want to call her Nurse Diesel. That's another movie.
Well, that's who it's obviously who it's based on. But from High Anxiety.
You will not receive the fruit cup.
Exactly. So, okay, so what's your number 5 then?
I'm embarrassed. It's such a guilty pleasure. I'm embarrassed to hell to say that my number 5 is actually Mars Attacks.
No shame. It's on my honorable mentions list.
I love the fact that he plays the president of all characters, and he's very over the top in it, and I just love the performance, and it's just so good to watch. And this was what established that Jack is a different kind of guy all the way around. And Burton was giving him his playground to play in. It's just a wonderful performance that gets kind of weirder and weirder as the film moves on with the aliens attacking. And
he also plays another role. He also plays.
He plays. I don't like the other role all that much. I can't remember his name now. Yeah, you got to roll them bones. I know which character you're talking about.
There you go. Exactly.
The Vegas guy, the
the sleazy.
You could tell he's having fun with it, but the character is just kind of annoying compared to the finesse that he shows us with the president. And Glenn Close is his wife, and
who
but it should be on my honorable mention list because that's really an ensemble piece. And I can't remember what it was that I said should be up on the the What's Your Visa should be up on the top 5. Yeah. The Shining is my number one honorable mention.
Okay.
My first one. 5 Easy Pieces. The scene in the cafe, the diner, is what everybody remembers, and it deserves a mention. That scene alone is a really good. Easy Rider did not make my list.
Really?
He's a, I'm not gonna say a cameo, but he's a very small portion of the film, and it's mostly Dennis Hopper and Fonda.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't add it in good conscience. Few Good Men.
Few Good Men. Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. That's memorable.
Yeah.
The fact that Rob Reiner got that performance out of him is really amazing. Of course, The Raven I had to mention because I just liked his performance in that. And I also wanted to mention it wasn't his first role, but he was in the original Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Playing the character that Bill Murray ended up playing in the later film.
The guy who is a little too keen on dentistry.
He likes dentistry. Oh my goodness. So he's really funny in that.
Yeah.
And so you can see the potential there. The potential's there. And again, he went on to play, a comical role in The Raven, and he was very serious in The Terror.
The Terror, yeah.
What happened was Roger Corman is notorious for being a skinflint on budgets for films and stuff. He's a guy that, had, I don't know if you guys remember Czech Cola, which is the real cheap sodas that you would get at, I think it was Winn-Dixie, right? Winn-Dixie's got the Czech, right? I don't even know if they still make it anymore.
We don't have Winn-Dixie down here, so.
Yeah, so he would order this
we have RC
craft services. Yeah, I mean, he would order the cheap stuff for craft services and would make films on a budget. And he had some money left over, or he had some time left over. They went ahead of schedule on The Raven. So he still had Boris Karloff and Nicholson for I think it was 2 days, and they shot The Terror in the same sets, in the same castle, the same sets. That they did The Raven in 2 days. They had somebody write up a script real quick, and they made that film in 2 days. And though I don't think it did well at the box office at the time, it is a movie that just pops up again and again and again over the years, and it keeps getting re-released because the film production company went out of business, went bankrupt.
Yeah.
I want to say American International, but
yeah, I think so. I think it was AI. Yeah.
So yeah, it's in public domain, so you see it popping up again and again and again on TV and stuff. And again, it's Jack Nicholson, early Jack Nicholson, and Boris Karloff.
Exactly. It
was one of the last features that Boris Karloff did. I think he did. Was it Target after that?
Target, yeah. I think that might have been his last movie.
I think that was his last one. Yeah, his last full-length feature. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I've always heard that we're talking about Little Shop of Horrors. That was made wasn't it made in a day or a couple of days as well?
I think so. I think it was made in. I think it was just a couple of days. Yeah, that they made.
Yeah, they just
knocked it out.
Just knocked it out. Yeah. So, see, you don't you don't need months and millions of dollars to make a good movie. and tons of CGI.
There
Hollywood.
Are people, there are people in the business that say, hey, just get your video camera and make video. Do whatever. Just make your own movies. Do them the way you want.
Those process. There are people who are doing just that. They're independent. They scrape the money together. And
Before I mention my last one, I want you to tell me what your honorable mention list is and see if it's on there.
Okay. On mine, it's about Schmidt.
Okay.
Where we get to see Kathy Bates, another great performance, and we get to see Kathy Bates naked, so that's always a plus.
The reaction to her naked by him deserves an Academy Award.
Classic.
It's
Just yeah,
great.
exactly.
It's great.
Uh, something's got to give, which you talked about. Terms of
Mhm.
endearment,
No,
which we talked about when we talked about Shirley MacLaine.
right.
5 Easy Pieces, Mars Attacks, and yeah, that's about it.
That's it.
And I did mention I threw in the cameos from Little Shop of Horrors, and he had a cameo in the musical Tommy, where he actually gets to
Yes.
sing,
Yeah.
which was kind of a fun little.
I've never seen that movie. I keep saying I'm
Really,
going to watch it, and I've never seen it.
you should watch it. You should watch it. It's
It's got a lot
you
of
know
people in it. It's got a lot of
just
good people.
just to see all the Elton John, Tina Turner, Jack Nicholson, in doing their little bits. The Who, of course, playing the characters, and Margaret, and Oliver Reed. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Let's do this.
So, and I also wanted to mention one of the few movies where he played a real person. Didn't make my top 5, didn't really make my honorable mention list, but I still want to mention it, is Hoffa, where
Yeah.
he plays union boss Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
Eh,
Again, when there's so many movies,
yeah, exactly.
it's hard to narrow it down to 10 or
Hard to narrow
11
it
picks.
down. Yeah. I
But
do
yeah,
gotta say,
add
even though,
Rich's of Eastwick to the list,
yeah,
of course, and Pritzi's Honor
Pritzi's
is an,
Honor, I almost forgot about that.
is
Yeah.
a wonderful dark
Yes,
comedy.
that should have been on our list. Why wasn't that on
Yeah,
our
well,
list?
I had to mention it. I had to give it an honorable mention. Again, there's so
Yeah.
many good movies, so many good performances. It's hard to make the picks. But yeah, we were talking about Angelica Houston earlier,
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
and or actually we were talking about her dad, John Houston, who
Mhm.
directed that one as well.
Right. Yeah.
And Angelica is in it, and that put her on the map as a
Right.
star.
Right.
And it's him and Kathleen Turner as hit. It's basically later on it would become, was it Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Mr. and
Where
Mrs.
the two
Smith.
hit
Yeah.
people, are after each other.
Right. Yeah.
They're both hit people in the business, and
Yeah.
Nicholson's got this kind of teeth thing that he's got in that, and he plays a Goomba, and it's a different kind of performance by him. He wanted to do something different, I guess. So it's a very interesting performance by him.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorites because you're kind of aware of the performance, but
Yeah. Yeah.
because you know who Nicholson is.
Exactly.
But he
Yeah.
is trying to do something. It's the same with Silkwood. I can't watch Nicholson as Silkwood because he's just not Nicholson really to me in that. But not Silkwood.
Ironweed.
Ironweed.
Ironweed. Yeah.
But yeah, the movie itself, and it's the greatest thing character actor William Hickey did, where he plays the Godfather, the boss, the family patriarch. He
Mhm.
plays the Godfather basically, but he does it in his own way. You want a cookie? He's talking to him. He's, well, we can't have that. And this guy was he was the teacher that took over for John Houseman. Is it Juilliard? The big acting school and performance school.
Yeah. Juilliard.
I think it's Juilliard. Yeah.
Juilliard. Yeah.
And again, Del Close was a teacher there as well. I mean, you had to be a really good actor to be a teacher at Juilliard, and
Yeah.
but he is so wonderful in that. Just, I mean, I love Bill Hickey and anything he does. From Little Big Man to what's the Mel Brooks, the early one.
The Four Chairs.
No. Hitler.
The producer. Oh,
The
the
producers.
producers.
He's in the producers. He's the drunk at
Right.
the bar.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
in. He plays the circus guy, the carny, in Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
Remo Williams. Yeah, yeah.
just every, and he plays the father in the Mouse Hunt, who dies, and they, end up, his body ends up flying out of his casket and down into the sewer.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I want you to stave the string. So he's just a wonderful little character actor. And he's, I think the last thing he did was Nightmare Before Christmas. He plays the mad scientist. Sally,
Yeah.
you put deadly nightshade in my soup again, Sally. Just a great little character actor. I love him.
Yeah.
And he makes everything with his role in that movie, Prizzi's Honor. So if you haven't seen Prizzi's Honor and you're a Nicholson fan, yeah, you should look at it. You should give it a look.
Yeah. And I forgot about another one. Actually, I've forgotten a lot about a lot of them. But The Postman Always Rings Twice, which is another kind of thriller.
Well, there's again so many good movies.
Exactly.
The Last Detail. That's
The Last Detail. Yes. Yes. I know. I mean, we could really just sit here and talk. But
Randy Quaid.
Yeah.
So many good movies.
I wanted to play this for Rory, who hasn't seen it. Manny knows what Manny mentioned this. This is Tommy. This is the singing number.
Oh gosh.
All right.
There is no chance, no untried operation. All hope lies.
You didn't expect that, Rory.
Imagine
not him
the
singing.
shock from isolation.
Oh, that's him.
When he suddenly can hear and speak and see.
Well, there
That's
you
not
go.
his voice.
I think it's him. I think it's him. We got to fact check that. I think it might be him. I think
It doesn't sound like his voice at all. He sounds too high. He might have played a British character in it, but
Yeah, I was playing it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's
No,
him.
I think
it's him.
think-
It's him. I fact checked it. It says yes. Jack Nicholson sang in the 1975 film Tommy, and he all of the cast, including Nicholson, re-recorded all the songs for the film and then performed them in character. So it is him.
Sounds
Yeah.
nothing like his voice, and I'm a guy that listens to voices. That's
Well,
what I do.
a lot of times, singing voice is different from speaking voice. I mean, look at Jim Neighbors. You know. Wow, Sergeant.
Oh,
dreams,
my
impossible.
papa. Yeah, I know. It sounds like Gomer, but serious Gomer.
Right. Or
But going from this to you say you no, I'm not buying it. I'm thinking that Nicholson just said, "Yeah, I sang it. Yeah, don't worry. I told everybody I sang, and I did."
no, it's
I'm not buying it.
You know what it makes me think? It makes me wonder of how much his quote unquote natural talking voice is really his natural talking voice. I mean, maybe maybe a lot of that is put on.
Maybe that's the fake one.
Maybe that's the fake one, really.
He's playing a character. All his life, he's been playing a character. Let's go to the Lakers game. Let's go.
Well, you sing to the pitch that the song is that the music's pitched at. I mean, seriously. I know we're not going to convince you, and that's fine. But
he sounds like a British Arlo Guthrie there.
Yeah, and maybe that was the point.
The pitch is it just seems too high for him.
Rory is the fact that I love this.
It's messing with me.
This is like so great. It's like The Shining. You're like Shelley Duvall in The Shining. You're slowly
I don't think that's his voice. I really don't. It doesn't sound like his voice at all.
This is the part of the show I live for.
Prove it.
Yes, this is the part I live for when Rory's dubious. Dubious Rory is my favorite Rory. I just love it.
Dubious Rory. Ooh.
It is surprising. I will tell you, it is surprising.
Baby character that he was at the end of Witches of Eastwick.
You know, I tried to find it too, and I couldn't find it.
It's not easy to find, I guess. They don't make it easy to find. They don't want you to see it.
Yeah.
His little hair sticking up out of the top of his head is sizzling. It's great.
Yeah.
Watch which of these, just to watch that. And watch Angela Cartwright barf all over the place and grapes. Have a grape.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the great boffing scenes ever put on film.
One of the best boffing. So that in
Boffing.
British, boffing.
That's
That was
right.
dubious, wasn't it?
It's quite dubious, yes.
Quite
yes.
dubious. Yes. She was
Yes.
boffing all over the place. What a performance.
Yes. One of the best since Mr. Creosote in Facts of Life.
Boom, 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 boom. Fuck off, I'm full.
It's just a wafer thin. It's wafer thin.
Gotta eat another bar of stuff with eggs on top.
Couldn't eat another bite.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I had a British friend that was her favorite Monty Python character was Mr. Creosote. Anything you did said as Mr. Creosote had her roaring laughing. She loved it. Fuck off, I'm full.
It was Michael Jones, right? That was
Terry Jones, yeah.
Terry Jones.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Michael Palin. Terry Jones, right?
Michael Palin. Terry Jones, yeah.
Well, if they had more movies, we would do a Monty Python review, but they didn't make that many.
Yeah, they only made like 5, right?
Yeah, so just
Like
shuffle them
that.
around.
Yeah, they made 5. Yeah.
5 or is it 5? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now for something completely different. Holy Grail. Huh?
Holy Grail, Life of Brian
Holy
is
Grail,
number 3.
Life of Brian. Meaning of Life.
Meaning of Life.
And
there is a film that they did together about Graham Chapman.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
It
one.
was
Yeah.
based on his book and his recordings.
Right,
That was
yeah.
really kind of the 5th one.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
what was he? Was it Brazil? Is the beginning thing?
Brazil, yeah. Eric Idle went off on. I mean, a lot of them did their own. Went off to do their own projects, and of course Terry Jones, not Terry Jones.
But they
Terry,
actually did like
Terry Gilliam
I
went on to direct.
I don't know if it was Brazil. It might have been another film where they did the thing where they're in the building and the building goes off. It starts moving. And they're like pirates in the building.
That's from Meaning of Life.
Is that from Meaning of Life?
That's from Meaning of Life.
Okay.
The accountant C.
Other things.
Yes, the certified accountants going off to become pirates.
And a lot of them were in Yellowbeard as well.
Yellowbeard. Well,
you could really count that as a python.
Practically, yeah. The pythons were in it. Of course, Cheech and Chong. So.
All right. Next week.
All right. Next week, a wonderful actress that we're going to cover, and it's Miss Diane Lane.
Oh, I sense a lot of work for me. No titles are coming to my mind at all. Okay, other than what we discussed like a couple weeks ago when we were talking about David Lynch. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a special guest for that show, or is it just us talking to Diane Lane?
Wait. Am I thinking about the same? Oh, did I misspeak here? Hold on. Let me check my notes.
Diane.
No, that's the right person.
Diane Lane.
Yeah. No, you were thinking of
Diane Ladd.
Diane Ladd. There you go. No, Diane Lane. Recently, she played Martha Kent in the Justice League, in the Zack Snyder Superman universe.
Oh my God, I have not seen any of these movies. Except
Well,
Inside Out, which she does a voice in. What does she do a voice in? She's the mom in Inside Out.
yeah.
Oh my God, none of them. None. How could you do this to me?
Well, hold on.
I have. There's Jack, but I haven't seen that. Judge Dredd, I haven't seen it. Oh my God. Chaplin, I saw a long time ago. I'll have to watch it again. Oh wow.
Is she?
She is completely off my radar.
Wow.
The Cotton Club, which I've never watched all the way through. Streets of Fire.
Yeah.
Rumblefish, The Outsiders.
She's the one on next on my list. So.
Wow.
Well, there you go. You got your work cut out for you. Well, I mean, next on my list would have been Natalie Portman. I don't know if that's even
Natalie Portman. I've seen some of her films.
All right, I'm gonna go easy on you this time, and we'll switch it to Natalie Portman, and we'll do Diane Lane sometime later. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, tune in to see us talk about the films of Miss Natalie Portman. Now that we've got that settled.
All right, Natalie Portman. Okay, I get to watch Star Wars again and some ballet dancing.
There you go. See,
and Leon, the Professional.
Yeah. See, that's just the kind of guy I am.
Thank you.
Easily manipulated.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I'm half tempted to say let's just go ahead and do Diane Lane because I'm off from work this next few days.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping to get some writing done.
Nah, let's stick with Portman. Let's go ahead and stick with Portman. We can do Lane another time. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a few movies that I haven't seen either, so.
Well, okay then. Now I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Natalie Portman. Yeah, I've seen more of her stuff. I know who Natalie Portman is. Diane Lane. She has eluded me.
Oh.
It'll be great if she becomes your favorite actress and you develop this wild fascination with her. Wouldn't that be amazing?
So hot. I need more. I need more.
It might be.
She is actually a very beautiful woman. So and a talented actress. But...
I need more Diane Lane in my life. Dubious. I'm dubious.
The word for the day is.
I like dubious. How you like that. I like that you like that I called you dubious. Here she is. She's a beautiful
Mr.
woman.
Dubious.
There you go. There she is. I know you've seen her before.
Yes, I like my dubious moniker. I do. Oh, you're so dubious.
See, a Hollywood icon. we're gonna
God, I hope she doesn't see this end of this episode.
That's why I put that there, because it said, now if only it said dubious icon, it would have been great, but it didn't.
Oh my goodness,
so bad. I mean, we've talked about actors. This show's been going for over a year now, and this was the first time he stumped the bartender. He threw something at me, and I was like,
"Wait, what? Who?"
You're there with the tumblers. You're like throwing it over your back. You're throwing it, and then he says Diane Lane, and everything just clatters to the floor, and there's a dubious look on your face.
Exactly.
Who dat?
So Tom Cruise plays a bartender, and he's pretty good at it.
Pretty good bartender too.
Pretty good bartender too.
We got to bring Diane Lane on, and then she can introduce herself to you, Rory.
Oh my God.
We'll have to work on that.
And we'll just keep, and she'll just keep saying to you,
embarrassed.
"I'm an
such a
icon.
movie
I'm
buff. I'm
famous."
so embarrassed. I really am. That we found one
Okay.
that's gotten under my radar.
Yeah. Okay, but just so nobody's
can't be Candy
confused.
Bates. No, it's gotta be Diane Lane.
We're doing Natalie Portman next week.
Natalie Portman.
We're doing Natalie Portman. Yeah.
Natalie Portman.
Yes.
Thank you. Have we done Anne Hathaway yet?
Yes. Yes.
We did.
We did her several episodes ago. Yeah.
Okay. I always get Natalie Portman and Anne Hathaway kind of mixed up as well. So
yeah, I can see that. You know, the brunette hair and so. Okay. And Renee, if you can find the clip from Saturday Night Live where she's rapping.
Oh my gosh. Okay, text me a reminder. Text me a reminder.
I sure
That's
will.
great.
Natalie Portman?
Will. Yes.
Rapping?
Yes. You've never seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I just saw it, as a matter of fact, not long ago. Yeah. That was pretty awesome. She was
we may have to put up our adults only warning, but
oh yeah.
So unless we find an expurgated version, so which I'm sure it's out
I mean,
there,
it aired on late night television.
That's true. That's true.
It's censored. I mean, they censored the dirty words.
Yeah, they bleeped it. So,
but you know exactly what she's saying the whole time.
Yeah. So we definitely need to show that at the top of the show. So
if I can find that picture of Nicholson, I'll send it to you so we can show it next show as well.
Yes.
Rory tried to get me to show this last week, and I couldn't find it. And then he went out and found it and sent it to me.
Yeah. So
we talked about this guy last week.
All right. So what's coming up later in the week then, as of this taping?
Roland Pruitt's Kaiju Review tomorrow. They will be talking about Dogara. A giant space jellyfish that eats coal and diamonds. And it has the lovely Akiko Wakabayashi in it. She plays a bad girl. And on Thursday, we're gonna do Chompy and the Girls.
Chompy and the Girls.
Yeah,
classic.
Which is this. I'll tell you, I stumbled on it. I stumbled across it, and it's a low budget, ultra low budget film that I thought we were going to make fun of, but it's a really good film. And I reached out to the director to see if he would come on the show, but he hasn't written me back. And in a couple of weeks, we're gonna change our show from Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, to Wednesday. Are we going an hour early on that? I can't remember.
I think we said we were going to go an hour early because I think
most likely, I think so. Yeah,
we're going to 6 o'clock Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
I think so. Yeah, let me double check. Are
you ready for it? Never thought it would happen on the big Monster briefing room, but Munster go home with the Munsters, Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis and Yvonne DiCarlo and Butch Patrick. I've reached out to all the surviving members to see if I can get them. Chris Pine's dad, who was best known as being the desk sergeant on Chips, is a very young, handsome man in that movie. He's the love interest for Marilyn, and he plays a race car driver from England. He's one of the only actors that isn't from England that's doing a British accent in the film. But he's a lot of fun in that. It's hard to upstage the Munsters. And it's the Munsters in color. So definitely want to check that out for Thanksgiving. I'm hoping people will enjoy it a lot. I did a lot of slides for the timeline.
Cool.
And so that's what's coming up in 2 weeks. I know that Sandy has got a show coming up this Thursday.
Yes, and it's puppets. It's about puppets.
It's about puppets. I think she's actually talking to one of the girls that works with the Jim Henson Workshop.
Cool.
So it'll be an interesting interview, and she's asked me to pull out my puppets. So it could get nasty.
Well, I just want you to know.
That was amazing. That was so great.
Dubious.
That was a dubious puppet.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. I just did that bit in my comedy act, actually. My sister hated that joke. Said, you need to stop doing that. But it's so tough to stop.
Don't stop. Don't stop. I love I found out that I think about Pee Wee Herman. I found out today that I think about Pee Wee Herman every day of my life. Like I was thinking all about the movie today, and Pee Wee's Big Adventure and how great it is. It's just so great. It doesn't get any better than that.
I didn't know this. I read it recently that they actually had to digitally change his face because he had aged so much for the last Pee Wee movie that was on like Netflix. It's not Pee Wee's Big Adventure. It's Pee Wee's like Big Vacation or something. It was like a direct to Netflix movie that they made, but they had to digitize his face because his necklines and everything made him look very old.
Yeah.
But he was going to do a movie with Paul Rudd, a body picture, and it didn't happen for some reason. It fell apart, unfortunately. But I remember him going on like David Letterman or one of the late night talk shows and talking about it and how excited he was about it.
Yeah.
Paul Rubens. Yeah, I was talking about him today to my neighbor. We were talking about what happened to him in Sarasota when he was visiting his parents. And I firmly believe that he might have actually, if you look at the mugshot, he's got long hair. He's got the goatee from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
I don't think there was any way that they would have recognized him if he hadn't said, "Hey, do you know who I am?" And I think he did it on purpose because he wanted to get away from Pee-wee. That's my belief.
Yeah.
That's my belief. He went on to do all kinds of other stuff after, thanks to Tim Burton and some friends, because again, he was just caught spanking it in, of all places, porn theater where people go to do that.
Exactly. I mean, it's like,
but the fact that he was a kid show host, made him sacrifice or made them, go after him hammer and tongs the press.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But yeah, he even did Pee-wee after that, it was 10 years after, but 15 years after. But yeah, I think honestly, he wanted to get away from Pee-wee for a while.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Fred Willard, same thing happened to him. And he even said that on a late night talk show. Hey, my wife said, get out of the house. And, I got caught doing, what, and where I was caught doing it was where you do that. Fred Willard was great.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
It's funny you mentioned Fred Willard. I rewatched for fun. I watched Spinal Tap.
Okay.
Where he has a little
yes.
cameo in that.
Yeah, the military guy.
That's the military guy, Yeah, we like that kind of music. We like the rock and roll, and there's a few rules that you might have to follow, but oh, it's so good. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, the cameos in that film, man.
I was like, what? He's in that? Patrick McNee and Fran Drescher.
I bought a Patrick McNee autograph today.
Oh yeah, because he was in doggy cameo. Yeah, he was in a James Bond. Yeah, I always love the fact, and we pointed this out before, that both the stars of the Avengers were in Bond movies, Patrick McNee and Diane Rigg. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, and Honor Blackman.
Yeah. So three of them. Three of them.
Again, it was a huge British show at the time, in the 60s, and again the Bond phenomena.
So yeah, there was bound to be some crossover
at the same time, and it was natural that these people would end up Linda Thornton, I don't think ever made it into a Bond film, but
I don't think so. No.
Joanna Lumley, who was in the new Avengers, was in
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh,
And
that's
then she would
right.
go on-
I
and
forgot
she would
about
go
that.
on. She would go on to do
Absolutely.
Absolutely fabulous,
Absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
wonderful in that.
And she was the first female Doctor Who in a
Kind of
children's in a comedy special.
not legitimate, but
Not
kind
legitimate,
of.
no. And
The
you
Rowan
know, I saw
Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. Actually, he was a believable doctor.
He was good.
Yeah, and the fact that Jonathan Pryce was never actually tapped to play the Master, I thought that was such a missed opportunity. He would have been terrific instead of
good in it.
doing the comedy bit. But anyway, we digress, and we're going way
We go
over
off on
time.
tangents, you know.
We go off on tangents, but this is the fun part of the show. So anyway, join us next week for Natalie Portman, not Diane Lane, who we'll do later. So until then, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.